Suswagatam. Welcome to the 19th session of Simply Sanatana. In this session, we shall witness one of the finest and exhilarating dialogues pervading the Bhagavad Gita. The dialogue is twofold. One, between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. Two, between Krishna and Arjuna. The first one being relatively insignificant from the angle of imbibing knowledge. The latter is relishable in every respect, leave alone the jnana to be churned out for our evolution. Let us therefore concentrate on this dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna, in the first chapter, is in distress, in a hopeless and helpless state due to the dilemma to fight or flee. Krishna assumes the role of a teacher to dispel Arjuna's illusion and pull him out of the ditch of delusion caused by ignorance. The varying rhymes and rhythms of the dialogue, consisting of the techniques assent, neutralization, persuasion with analogies, etc., adopted by Krishna through his dialogues for deliverance to Arjuna, is indeed unparalleled. Arjuna, the great warrior, Purusha Vyagra, sobs in the battlefield. Siddhanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishusyati Vepathushya sharire me romaharshasya jayate Gandivam sramsate hastat tvakchaiva paridahyate Naja shaknom yavasthatum Brahmativa cha me manaha. Meaning, my limbs give way and mouth is parched up. A shiver runs through my body and hair stands upright. The bow Gandiva slips from my hand and my skin too burns all over. My mind is whirling as it were and I can stand no longer. We shall witness the tempo of the dialogue, how from the hopeless state of Arjuna he was transformed to a confident warrior. The dialogue technique had done this wonder. The intonation, addressing Arjuna with the apt epithets appropriate to the context, etc. Lending a patient hearing to Arjuna's distress. In the first chapter, Krishna, for the first time, breaks his silence in the second chapter when Arjuna totally surrenders to him. Krishna begins with exciting Arjuna as if to hurl him out of his sleep. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anarya jushtam aswargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. Meaning, Arjuna, from where has the infatuation overtaken you at this odd hour? It is shunned by noble souls. Neither will it bring heaven nor fame to you. Arjuna's confused state is called as anarya, the apt word. Krishna chides him right at the outset, as if to rouse Arjuna with a jerk. Klaibyam masmagam apartha naitatvayupapadhyate chudram hridaya daurbalyam Tyaktvottishta parantapa. Meaning, yield not to fickle-mindedness, Arjuna, it does not befit you. shaking off this paltry faint-heartedness. Stand up, O scorcher of enemies. O Parantapa, the scorcher of foes, in the battlefield you cannot afford such feeble-mindedness, as you are a Parantapa. Arjuna is unable to compose himself in the battlefield. Having been overcome with the afflictions of Karpanya dosha, he totally surrenders to Krishna. Karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha pritchami tvam dharma sammudha-chetaha yat shreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Meaning, being tainted by the affliction of feeble-mindedness and my mind puzzled with regard to duty, I am asking you, tell me that which is decidedly good. I am your disciple. Pray, instruct me, who has taken refuge in you. Now Krishna's address is tuned to an exalted plane, perhaps to quickly transform the melancholy mood of Arjuna to a transcendental note as Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha Ubayorapi drishtontastvanayostattvadarshibhihi. Meaning, the unreal has no existence. The real never ceases to be. The reality of both has thus been perceived by the seers of truth. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Meaning, the soul is never born, nor dies, nor does it become only after being born. For it is unborn, eternal, everlasting, and ancient. Even though the body is slain, the soul is not. Thus, the same rhythm is maintained throughout. In this way, whole of the second chapter bears a highly philosophical note when Arjuna is whisked off to a much higher plane as if to bring freshness in the depressed mood of Arjuna. Arjuna, by the way, means pure in nature. By now, Krishna seems to have succeeded in pulling Arjuna out of the deep delusory state, as evident from Arjuna's curiosity. He has started thinking in the right perspective. He asks, Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava stitadhi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. Meaning, O Keshava, what is the mark of a God-realized soul, stable of mind and steeped in samadhi, that is meditation? How does the man of stable mind speak, how sit, how walk? This query of Arjuna certainly leads us to believe that Arjuna is getting stabilized. Krishna is just readily waiting to liberally pour out from his basket of knowledge to the deserving Arjuna. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanugatan atmanyeva atmanatushta sthita prajnastadochyate. Meaning, O Partha, when one thoroughly dismisses all cravings of the mind and is satisfied in the self, through the self, then he is called one of stable mind. Towards the close of the chapter, Krishna says, Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. Meaning, with the attainment of such serenity of mind, all his sorrows are destroyed, and the intellect of such a person of tranquil mind, soon withdrawing itself from all sides, becomes firmly established in the Supreme. O Mahabaho, O mighty armed, you have to first bring your senses under control, as mastery over the senses makes one poised and competent to gain intuitive knowledge. Mahabaho also refers to conqueror of enemies within. We would notice that right in the second chapter, Krishna zooms Arjuna to expound him the Brahman state, the highest state, the very purpose of a birth, as Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syamanta Kalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Meaning, O Partha, such is the state of the God-realized soul. Having reached this state, he overcomes delusion. And established in this state, even at the last moment, he attains supreme bliss. Arjuna is a perfect student with rapt attention, but interrupts Krishna with his pertinent questions, characteristic of a dedicated student to his teacher. Krishna answers from various angles with different intensities every time, keeping the interest alive and active in Arjuna, motivating his further queries till Krishna's goal is reached in the 18th chapter with Arjuna's declaration, Nashto mohasmritir labdha and sthitosmi gata sandehaha. Meaning, my delusion is destroyed. I am firm and free from doubt. Arjuna, a dedicated, pure-hearted disciple, innocently queries Krishna in the 3rd chapter. Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Meaning, O Janardana, if you consider knowledge as superior to action, why then do you urge me to this dreadful action, Keshava? When you give thrust to knowledge over action, why do you impel me to fight this terrible battle? Krishna then enlightens Arjuna on the inevitability, imminence of action and what is right action. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajayo hyakarmanaha sharira yatra pichate na prasidhyeda karmanaha. Meaning, therefore, do you perform your allotted duty, for action is superior to inaction. Desisting from action, you cannot even maintain your body. Krishna supports his injunction by citing example of Janaka and others who attained perfection by action. कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि. Meaning, it is through action alone that Janaka and other wise men reached perfection. Having an eye to maintenance of the world order too, you should take to action. He quotes himself as another example. Krishna here uses the technique of persuasion through examples for stressing his point. Again, Arjuna's query as a dedicated disciple with a pure heart. Due to what does a man commit sin even though unwillingly? Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Meaning, now, impelled by what, Krishna, does this man commit sin, even involuntarily, as though driven by force? Krishna clarifies, Kama yesha krodha yesha rajo guna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhyena miha vairinam. Meaning, it is desire begotten by Rajoguna which appears as anger. It is insatiable and grossly wicked. Know this to be the enemy in this case. Then he cites examples how grave are the evils enveloping Atman and the need to conquer the enemy in the form of desire. Every time the epithet of Mahabaho, O mighty armed, is used for Arjuna, he refers to conquering the senses, the enemies within. Krishna is sailing through in the 4th chapter without any interruptions from Arjuna. When we go to the 5th chapter, Arjuna seems to have been convinced of doing karma, but again wants further clarification from Krishna. O Krishna, on the one hand, you advise on the renunciation of action, and on the other, you impel me to do action. Which one is better? Krishna enlightens on the right knowledge of what is renunciation of action and that of performance, but advocates its performance. We shall continue further in our next session. धन्यवाद.